Hi, everyone. Today I'm joined by Manoj Kumar, a veteran technology leader with over 27 years of experience driving engineering transformation across startups and global enterprises. He currently serves as the head of digital engineering at Syngenta Group, where he's leading large scale digital initiatives powered by both AI and data. Before Syngenta, Manoj had multiple leadership roles across Niragi, Power School, and Zenoti, building high-performing teams, scaling platforms to millions of users, and leading large cloud migrations that delivered measurable impact. It's a pleasure to have you here today, Manoj.
Sure.
So I think
Thank you,
let's
Abhishek.
let's yeah, of course. Let's get started, right? And then today's topic is measuring productivity in the age of AI augmented development. And let's start off with big picture here, Manoj. So, how has the idea of developer productivity to you changed now that AI is part of our daily workflow? Or has it changed?
Sure. I think developer productivity has been a very controversial area, I would say, as an engineering leader. And it has been kind of changing over a period of time in terms of, how do we measure it? Um, and given that the kind of work that we do in the software industry involves good amount of innovation, it's not a very pure mechanical work. It really gets very tricky in terms of how do you kind of measure the productivity, even like before AI era, I would say. And some of the matrices we have around this is like there have been like things like Dora matrices, there have been
Mhm.
like PRs and those kind of things, which in my opinion kind of measures the activity. And I would like to separate activity from productivity. So that's what I would probably give you a little bit more insights from my perspective on that.
Got it. Would love to understand a little bit more, right, Manoj, here. So we talked about separating activity from productivity, and I think that's a very important and a critical distinction that we need to make here. So in terms of that differentiation, what does that look like for you? You're talking about PR and certain other metrics, and do you think those things more fall under the activity side rather than the productivity side?
Yeah, I would give a very classical example of what I read long time back in
Hmm.
a shoemaking industry in Japan, where workers wanted to go on a strike,
Okay.
and somehow the culture in Japan does not allow you to kind of stop the work, right?
I see.
So
Yeah.
so they did not stop any of the work that they were doing, but what they started doing is like they only manufactured the left leg shoe, okay, for a month or two, and that kind of led to like increased inventories, increased cost, a lot of challenges for the company, and they were very safe to say that we are working, we are not kind of doing a strike. And to me, that's a very good example of a difference between activity versus
Got
productivity. They were all active, but eventually the company was not getting the end results. They were not able
Yep.
to sell the shoes in the market. So that's one example of it, and that could happen in the software industry as well sometimes, right?
Makes sense. Yeah, I think that's a great example. I've not heard that story before. I'm definitely gonna go look it up after this podcast episode. So let's continue down this line, right? And let's talk a little bit more about actually measuring impact. Like nowadays, everyone talks about AI boosting productivity, but can you talk to me about how you as an engineering leader actually measure this?
Yeah, so this has been a challenging area, and this is where I would bring one more example to you. I don't know if you have read this book called The Goal by. So that's a book which talks about the whole supply chain process and the process controls, and it gives some 5 steps. And in that, there is a very good story into that book, which the author highlights, which is like studying the impacts of bottlenecks in the whole process, right? So it says basically the final outcome of your whole process is always going to be the maximum output from the step, which is the least producing step, or which is the so-called, we call it as a bottleneck effect,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, what has happened with AI is that there are certain areas that leaders suddenly expected that will start doing more. For example, maybe the coding has become quicker, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
something that I would earlier go to different forums to find the code, now I can write a prompt and AI is
Yeah.
able to code for me. But what I see is that in the industry, it has not yielded that much of a change that leaders anticipated,
Okay.
because I can code 10 times faster as a
Mhm.
developer, but I don't think any of the industry is able to achieve 10x productivity today,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And to
Hmm.
me, like when I reflected upon it, it takes me back to that example of the book, The Goal. Maybe coding was not the least producing step in the whole process. Maybe that was not the bottleneck, and that's why even though we have improved that step, it has not given us the complete throughput productivity.
Makes sense.
Okay? So I think we have to think very differently. We have to understand the whole SDLC from the time you kind of gather the requirement to the time you kind of make a
Mhm.
release. This is a pipeline, and in this pipeline, where are your bottlenecks, right? For to my experience, one of the biggest bottleneck in software industry has been what do I want to develop?
Yeah.
What is the requirement, right?
Hmm.
How do I take
Hmm.
it to my customers? How do I take it to my users, right? It's not like I know what to develop and my people are not able to develop it, right? How do I conceptualize it? How do I ideate it? And what I think is, while we have explored a lot the area of like doing fast coding
Hmm.
using AI, we have not brought it into the complete picture of our SDLC from the time I get the requirements, how I can quickly ideate it using AI, how I can quickly prototype it, and how I can quickly put it in front of my customer, right? So to me, with AI, our new metrics or new way of measuring productivity should not be number of PRs and the lines of code that
Correct.
I generate. It should be how fast am I able to iterate faster with my customers, my new
Correct.
features,
Hmm.
right? So earlier, from an ideation stage to the stage I put it in the hands of my customer, it used to take me, let's say, 30 days.
Yeah.
Can I now do that in 10 days, right?
Yeah.
And iterate faster, iterate more quickly, and then finally, so if you understand the process, we call it as a beta release, the controlled release,
Yeah.
and the GA.
Hmm.
And that mechanism also we have to bring it in place. Like, how can I do more betas now, right? How can I do ideate, and how can I do more of this A/B testing with my users and arrive at what are the final features that I want to do GA? And I don't think we have done that very well yet. I have not seen those examples in the industry. And I think if AI could make an impact, I see a lot of people today, like if I just give them an example that this is what I want to do as a product manager, they are very quickly able to get into tools like Lovable or Figma Make or UX Pilot and quickly come back with a proposal how to do it. Then they can quickly code it, release it, and then we start iterating on it, right?
Yeah.
So we need to get away from that mindset of like looking at number of PRs and lines of code as a symbol of productivity. That could be just a symbol of more activity, in my opinion.
Got it. Got it. I think this makes perfect sense, Manoj. I think we covered a lot of topics and a lot of things here, and I completely, I think, relate to the aspect of throughput productivity that you mentioned. Right? We have maybe made coding faster, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're able to ship features that customers want at better speed. Right? Maybe it's still kind of stuck in those just AI helping coding move faster, and I think that's where definitely kind of a tool that can help with your end-to-end software development lifecycle, right? All the way from requirements to after deployment and maintenance, right? I think maintenance becomes really critical. So that kind of a tool, I think that's where it comes in, and you can hence say that, hey, we are actually increasing and making every stage of your software lifecycle faster. So I think just kind of going along the same thread, right? I would like to ask you then, at this point, do you think AI is just moving work around instead of saving time? Do you think that is true, or do you still think you're seeing benefits from using Gen AI and having your team use Gen AI?
Yeah, so as I said, there are areas within your SDLC where, as an individual, a developer or a UX designer is able to save time. For
Yeah,
example, the tickets that if I'm a coder, the ticket that would have taken me X number of hours yesterday, with AI, it can take little less time. And in fact, the other benefit we have seen is that now people are able to write more unit test cases. The coverage is better. The end-to-end test cases are also written through AI. So that's a benefit definitely we have received. But I don't think as an industry I'm seeing where you are able to holistically
got it.
use it in the complete process and get that benefit.
Got it. Makes sense. I was not planning on bringing this up, right? But I think CodeSpell actually solves that problem of your entire SDLC, right? Going all the way from requirements to development. I think because we talked about the point a couple of times, I think just highlighting the fact that I think it's really, really critical. And I think specifically in the requirement space, we don't really have a tool or strong tools that kind of do this yet. So in terms of we talked about how, as an individual developer or maybe a tester, I can be more productive with Gen AI, right? But how about balancing the speed that you're getting with Gen AI, right? How do you think teams can balance this AI-driven speed with actual quality and compliance? Do you still think at this point AI is not advanced enough where it can produce error-free and security uh, driven code? And if so, what needs to be done to get there?
I think, in my opinion, AI is as good as the developer behind it's sending those prompts, right? And expecting AI to kind of think about all the things, corner cases, and write something, I think that has not happened yet. And I don't know if that will happen because the responsibility, the accountability would still lie with humans. I think I would say it's more like art of using AI is something
Mhm.
which is important and for which the engineer sitting behind it need to be like someone who really understands what I want out of AI, right? Engineer, in my personal use, I have found AI most effective when I'm able to break down my tasks into smaller and smaller levels. So the smaller and more specific instruction I can give it to AI, the better response that I get from it. And definitely it helps me alleviate a lot of trivial work that I was doing earlier, going to Stack Overflow, looking for syntax and trying to write, syntactically write things. But over here, that's a clear benefit that we have with AI available as a tool to us.
Yeah, makes sense. You talked about how at the end of the day, at least for now, it's still the engineer's responsibility to vet what the AI produces, right? And while AI can kind of help with more of the manual tasks of writing code, it really, really depends on the prompts we provide the AI. And I completely agree with you on that, right? I think prompt engineering is becoming a very key area that a lot of engineers are now starting to focus on, given the advent of coding assistants, especially. Um, at Syngenta Group, right, and maybe at your previous companies as well. Do you see teams moving from just using AI tools to actually thinking about AI first in how they plan to deliver software, or are you still not necessarily seeing the change across the board?
I think these are two different things, right? Thinking AI is more about thinking our business problems, the customer problems, what I can solve. today that I was not able to solve yesterday, right? For example, I just met somebody from business and he talked
Mhm.
to me about a lot of things where AI is making great impact, several applications and tools which we were not able to roll out in like a lot of states in India because they had a requirement to have these tools available in the native languages. And translation was a very big problem before
Correct.
AI, if you look at it, right?
Yeah.
So AI has definitely made it extremely easy, some of these challenges. Building chatbots has become extremely easy. So to me, leveraging AI is a lot more product management thinking. I wouldn't
Mhm.
say it's something that product management only has to think. Everyone has
Got
to
it.
think, but it's more about what I can do with AI that can alleviate the problems of my users and my customers.
Makes sense.
But leveraging AI in the whole process of developing quickly is a different ball game altogether. I think on that extent, what has become very important is what I feel, my personal feeling is that the need of much more vibrant communication between team members has become very essential because, as I said, with AI, you should be able to iterate faster.
Yeah.
And only way you can get better outcomes with faster iterations is that you have much more vibrant communication between
Yeah.
all the developers, product, UX, they all are sitting in the same time zone, talking to each other, and that's the only way your end-to-end throughput will get done quicker.
Yeah, and I do agree when you talked about that these are two different things, right? Using AI tools versus actually thinking about your product or your service being AI first, completely two different things. And I think it's very important that for a company to succeed in this day and age, you need a combination of both, right? You need uh, to present features to customers that helps them make it easier for them to use the product, while at the same time you need to be better at delivering features and products quicker to them. So I definitely agree that it's a combination of both. And I think the cross collaboration or the increase of cross collaboration as well, I think is really critical. Finally, I think just to wrap this up, right? We did talk about this quite a bit, but I'm again really curious if you were to say from your personal experience, what's one lesson that you probably have learned firsthand about measuring productivity in this AI-driven setup?
Yeah, I think we have to definitely move from looking at these matrices are important, like the PRs, the lines of code, and things like that. But we have to really move from there to outcome-driven things. What are the outcomes that we are having today, and how quickly are we able to turn around these outcomes and be able to take it to, how can I make the end user benefit from this, right? And I think in the software industry, what I have seen is that um, people are always wanting more. Our users, our customers, they always need more. It's
Yeah.
our ability to deliver faster, which has not been there and which has been continuously improving, right?
Mhm.
But now today, AI is giving you one more boost into that whole thing. But it's not going to be simply that I can just code faster. I think the
Yeah.
team has to come together, brainstorm. Hey, these kind of features we could earlier deliver in 3 months. Can I now do it in 3 weeks? How can I do it in 3 weeks? Right? And that thinking has to happen. And then I'm sure the team will find those solutions. Uh, how to do it.
Perfect. I think great thought to wrap up and kind of echoing what we have been discussing throughout this episode, right? Uh, just really crucial that we figure out how to increase throughput productivity, right? And make sure that the team comes together to deliver things quicker, and not just increasing individual efficiencies of different parts of the puzzle, but rather increasing it as a whole. But I think with that being said, thank you so much for your time, Manoj. It was really fun speaking with you. And to everyone listening, I hope you really enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Stay curious, keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.